Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to our first episode of Scarpad and Dylan Read Some Shit. We're finally back to reading some shit, and of course, Dylan is reading some shit with me. How you doing, Dylan?
Good, brother. How are you?
We decided we needed to read some graphic novels, and specifically, we're going to be doing horror, sci-fi, mostly horror graphic novels in the show. And the first thing that we read this week is in our wheelhouse because we wanted to get into reading these comics. The Universal Monster comics from Image. They have a whole bunch of them. Of course, probably my favorite, and I think your favorite too. It's not without going too far to say, the Creature from the Black Lagoon is one of our favorite Universal monsters. So,
Yep.
Dan Waters, Ram V, Matthew Robert, Dave Stewart, Force. We read this as a graphic novel, but it was a 4-issue series. Came out a year or so back. And how can you go wrong? Well, I got some ideas, but hey, what you read it? What did you think?
I didn't like it at all.
Really? Not at all.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't too big on it at all, honestly. I thought the story was kind of weird and like just random. Like some chick is just tracking down some serial killer and she somehow stumbles upon the creature.
Well, I mean,
And it's
what?
like
No, I mean, what it was. Yeah.
like a hybrid creature too. Like there's like
No.
weird stuff going on.
Well, what it was this reporter was drowned twice. She thinks it's by this guy. Well, let's go back. Let's set this back. Is there is an original one of the characters from the Creature of Black Lagoon movie, Dr. Tompkins. He's the guy in the movie that gets clawed early on in the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and then you don't see him. He's laying there in the bed for the rest of the movie when the creature sticks his hand through the portal. The guy that's laying there in the bandages, that's this doctor, and he's been tracking the creature ever since that movie for 40 years, I guess. And she's kind of a reporter who ran across was drowned. He thinks by the creature. She thinks by this serial killer guy, and she's been tracking him. And this guy ends up to be this wacko who is kind of aware of the legend of the Creature from the Black Lagoon that is dressing up more or less as the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And he is the one that is kind of attempting, I think, the Creature from the Black Lagoon does figure into the story. He kind of saves her from this guy at the end. But, one of the things I didn't really like about this story so much is the fact that the creature more or less just turns out to be kind of like a cameo in his own comic, because the main story is really about this guy who dresses up as the creature that she's tracking.
Right.
Meanwhile, the creature is involved in it because he's saving her ass from being drowned by this guy, and kind of following her like he did the chick in the first movie. So it's kind of a weird story. I didn't hate it like you did. I thought it was.
I mean, I didn't hate it.
I thought it was middling.
I
thought it was middling.
It was like super, super mid, and just.
I would have liked it better if he was just tracking the creature and this other serial killer guy wasn't really involved. And then we get the drug runners involved in this too, where they're going after the guy.
The creature's like an afterthought.
Yeah, he's kind of in the background. He really does exist.
Like, why? I thought that this guy was going to be like some hybrid or something.
No, he was a guy dressed up as him, basically.
I didn't even get that because the shit he had looked like
right,
like he was like a mix or something, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, he had some sort of chemical that I don't know if it was
the chemical was a science thing and
was changing them or whatever. It was very, very convoluted.
That's another thing. It was very like confusing. Like they didn't explain shit, and like I was like really excited because Ram V does a lot of good stuff, and this was just like, and I know Dan Waters. It's 2 writers on this, so I don't know if it was like 2 writers kind of button heads. I don't know what, but
yeah, I mean they kind of and they neglected the other 2 movies. This obviously only takes place after the first movie, and they kind of neglected the other two sequels. Yeah, I wasn't too big on it. I didn't really like the other thing I didn't really care for too much is how they drew the creature with the glowing blue eyes. How you see him on his front cover that we see here is kind of like the way he should be, but that's not the way he looks in the comic. And the comic
Right.
always
That
has
was another thing. I wasn't crazy about the artwork at all.
yeah, they kind of had this flashlight eyes where he has blue flashlight eyes, so that didn't really appeal to me all that much.
Like
Um,
the Dracula comic book, I haven't read it, but I flipped through the artwork, and the artwork is like dark and gritty, and I like that. I'll have to read it to see, but I
yeah,
like that a lot better. Like from the Mummy and this, like the Mummy and this, and I want to say maybe even Frankenstein have like this. It's almost the same type style artwork, and I don't like it really.
yeah.
Not
I
for
mean,
this,
Dracula
not
should
for
kind of
this type
reflect.
shit. Like these are
Yeah,
universal monsters, like not fucking animations. Like I,
yeah. The unit. I mean, Dracula, which we are going to read for the next show. Dracula has kind of a gothic feel to it, and that's appropriate. This should have been drawn a little bit more broadly, and it really wasn't. But the artwork doesn't bug me all that much. I think the story to me, because it kind of involves just the creature in the end as a cameo in his own magazine, because he's not
that's
really
what I'm
involved
saying. Yeah.
too much in it. Um,
Like they didn't have a story, so they're like, let's just make up this random ass shit about this guy trying to copy the creature.
right. Even
Like,
if they had just made the story just that doctor from the movie going back to look for the creature after 40 years, involving that would have been better, and somehow involving the drug runners and that and stuff. That would have been a better story than what we got here. And there's been other creatures from the Black Lagoon comics. Maybe we'll hit a couple of those and see how they compare. But yeah, for for a comic from a major player like Image, it was a little bit disappointing. So I'm gonna give this one probably a C. Um, okay, but not great. So it's smack dab. What would you rate it?
like a like a D.
D. So a little bit worse than me. Yeah. So yeah, a little disappointing after this is the first one. I don't regret reading it, and it's an okay read, but it's
I
just
love the creature, man, and I expected so much more.
I think they could have done.
Like even get Del Toro came up with a better story where he's got some chick banging the creature. You know what I mean? And
And I
this was
wasn't
like
technically even the creature. Maybe she should have banged this one. It would have been a little more
it
interesting.
might have would have made it better. There was just like nothing going for it, man. And the creature was just a huge afterthought. I was
Right.
gonna try to read it again to see like it's just like why are we tracking a serial killer that is like imitating the creature? Like I know it's
Right.
supposed to be about like it's supposed to be this deep meaning about this girl who like has cheated death twice and like
Right.
she
Because of
wishes
drowning.
that she was dead and then when the creature saves her or whatever, she like feels
Yeah, and I mean they
he's
could have
like
done that
stalking
story.
her the whole time. And
They could have done that story just without that serial killer guy, just with her going on
literally,
this
yeah.
expedition with the guy, and it would have been a better story. No, they didn't need to throw in that serial killer guy. I think they just wanted to say, "Hey, look at us. This is a twist. You're not expecting this, but the twist ain't very good. So a little disappointing, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
because then I was like, when they were talking about this serial killer, I was like, wait, is she tracking the creature? Is this guy tracking the creature? Like, or is this guy like a hybrid
Yeah, no,
creature? Like, I was just like, what the fuck is going on here?
yeah, it was a very quick read too. It didn't take that long to read
Yeah,
this
I
thing.
literally was like, I was tired as shit, and it was like 1 a.m. and I started reading it, and I read like, I think it was like 100 pages, and I read like 80 pages, and then I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna finish this tomorrow because I was just like, what am I reading?
Right.
I was just like, man, and I read the first issue of The Mummy, and I was like, even this, I was like, this is weird too, but I was like, so far this is better. At least it's like like a little bit more, like
Hmm.
something like there's at least like it this was just like this ain't my creature, like the look of him ain't there, the story, like this is just weird, man. Like if I ever saw some shit like this, I'd be like, this is the dumbest movie ever. Like, Like, you know what I mean? It's like, how are you gonna
Right. It's like
creature
they had to bring in a Mary Sue
and the
to
creature is
creature.
like your afterthought. He's like in the shadows, and it's like
Right.
he only like he's just stalking this girl the whole time, and
Right.
you just see him like poke up, and then that's it, like, and then he just runs off. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, here. All right, man. Well, hey, maybe the next one will be better. As I said, the next one is going to be Universal Monsters Dracula. We're going to be reading that,
Yeah,
and we'll be back for
and that's
episode
James.
2.
That's James Tiny, and so
Yeah, usually James Tannion has a pretty good story, so we'll
that's
see
what I
how it
thought
goes.
about Rom V though. So, but this was the first one that they ever did. So maybe
Right,
like,
and maybe Dan Waters had more of a input than Ramsey did. So who knows? But hopefully the next one
yeah,
will
I'm
be better.
wondering if they were button heads. It's like, why do we need two writers for a 4 issue
Oh,
series?
that's kind of the way it is now,
I
collaboration.
guess so. We've been out the game for a little bit, so
But yeah, so we'll do Universal Monsters Drag, and then we'll mix up. And I picked. We kind of shared that one, and Dylan's going to pick some
and maybe
magazines.
Frankenstein will be done by then because that's like 4 issues and
We may take a break from this and do something else. I'm going to let Dylan go ahead and pick something he wants to read after we do Dracula. So we'll be back probably in a couple of weeks, and we'll be looking at the Universal Monsters Dracula. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll be coming on here and pulling
yeah.
these
Sorry,
news
man. I
up.
was planning to go like 30 minutes, but there wasn't much I had to say about this one, man. And it was
Yeah,
just weird.
most graphic novels I think you can cover in like 20 minutes.
I was gonna say, yeah, especially nowadays. You were like, there ain't gonna be
Nowadays,
much for you to read, and there
there you
wasn't.
go. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with Dracula. Until then, later, guys.
There